Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. I'm so thrilled you're tuning in. There's just an overwhelming rush of global events hitting the wires right now in June 2026. Seriously, it's a lot of noise, but today we're going to cut right through that. We're distilling all of it into a structured, highly focused narrative on the geopolitical impact of 2026. We're going to map out exactly how the world order is shifting, literally right before our eyes. So, let's dive right in. Okay, here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, the global alliances expand. 2, leadership shifts worldwide. 3, India's strategic positioning. 4, defense and military readiness. And finally, number 5, the 2026 global indexes.
Section 1. The global alliances expand, shifting multipolar frameworks. Now just look at this incredibly dense cluster of diplomatic activity. It's all happening essentially back-to-back this month. We had the 52nd G7 summit kicking things off in mid-June over in France, and then, directly on its heels, late June brought massive BRICS momentum. We saw both the 16th BRICS National Security Advisor meeting in New Delhi and the 11th BRICS Energy Minister meeting in Gurugram. This concentration of summits, it matters immensely. Why? Because the agreements being hammered out here are setting the foundational policies that are going to dictate global trade and security for literally decades to come.
What's truly fascinating here is the clear contrast in priorities between these two massive geopolitical gravity centers. On one hand, we've got the Western-led G7 agenda, hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron. Their core theme was all about forging new partnerships and rebuilding international solidarity. They even brought both India and Ukraine's President Zelensky to the table as invited nations. Then, on the flip side, you have the rapidly organizing BRICS initiatives taking place in India. The NSA meeting was chaired by India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and their overarching theme, it was heavily focused on building for resilience, innovation, cooperation, and sustainability. So you've got two very different strategic focuses happening at the exact same time.
And this multipolar expansion we're talking about, it's physically solidifying through institutions like the New Development Bank. You might know it as the BRICS Bank, headquartered over in Shanghai, China. In a pretty major geopolitical move, Uzbekistan officially became the very first Central Asian nation to join the bank. This is a massive step, guys. It extends BRICS' financial influence deep into Central Asia, which completely reshapes regional investment channels. Moving right along to Section 2, leadership shifts worldwide, the changing faces of power. So here's a crucial point to keep your eyes on. The United Nations Security Council is gearing up for a major structural update. Looking ahead to terms starting January 1st, 2027, we've got a slate of newly elected non-permanent members. Austria and Portugal are stepping up to represent Europe, Kyrgyzstan steps in for Asia, Trinidad and Tobago for the Americas, and Zimbabwe for Africa. These nations are soon going to have a much louder voice in global security resolutions. That is absolutely going to alter the voting dynamics on critical international interventions. Meanwhile, down at the nation-state level, Europe is seeing a pretty stark contrast in stability. On one hand, the United Kingdom just experienced a total political shock with the sudden resignation of Prime Minister Keir Starmer. But look at the other side of the coin. Slovenia is experiencing the exact opposite, a return to a very familiar face. James Janša has secured stability there by returning as Prime Minister for an incredible 4th time. Talk about a contrast, right? Wild volatility on one end and entrenched longevity on the other.
All right, Section 3. India's strategic positioning, bilateral ties and soft power.
We're really seeing a highly calculated approach here. India is strategically placing very specific key figures into vital global institutions. Just look at these appointments. We have Dinesh Trivedi, appointed as High Commissioner to Bangladesh. Now, what's fascinating about this is that Trivedi is a former politician, not your standard career bureaucrat. That signals a much more political, nuanced approach to bilateral ties there. We also see Nilkant Mishra, appointed as India's next executive director at the World Bank. Domestically, Vikram Misri got a solid 1-year extension, maintaining crucial stability as Foreign Secretary. And on the international legal front, Indian jurist Vimal Patel has been appointed as a judge at the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea over in Germany. They are literally inserting influence at every single level.
But hey, diplomacy isn't just about placing politicians in high offices, right? It begs the question, how is international soft power expanding alongside all these bureaucratic appointments in 2026?
Well, the answer really lies in deep cultural diplomacy. Just look at this recent development. Israel has announced unprecedented plans to deploy a statue of the revered Indian historical icon Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj right in a major Israeli city. This is just a massive gesture of cultural respect.
It profoundly strengthens bilateral ties in a way that goes way beyond just standard political agreements.
Next up, Section 4, Defense and Military Readiness, Self-Reliance on the World Stage.
A major highlight on this front in 2026 is Project Kusha. This program completely redefines India's defensive shield. Developed by the Defense Research and Development Organization, or DRDO, Project Kusha is a totally indigenous long-range air defense missile system. It's designed specifically to protect the nation against modern, sophisticated aerial threats. We're talking enemy aircraft, drones, and incoming missiles. It's a real game changer.
And you know, this defensive posture extends far out to sea, too. We just saw the trilateral commissioning of 3 brand-new indigenous naval warships, the INS Agray, the INS Dunagiri, and the INS Sanshodak. These were recently commissioned in Kolkata, and it just showcases this incredible momentum in indigenous defense manufacturing and naval capability.
Furthermore, that military footprint is expanding internationally. India actively participated in Exercise Conquest 2026. This is a major multinational military exercise hosted over in Mongolia. It allows military personnel to train right alongside various global forces, ensuring readiness and interoperability on a truly international scale.
Finally, Section 5, 2026 Global Indexes, Quantifying Global Influence.
127. Just let that number sink in for a second. Out of 163 countries measured, 127 is India's official ranking on the newly published Global Peace Index for 2026.
Now, when you compare that 127 ranking to the very top, Iceland actually retains the absolute #1 spot for global peace. It really showcases the vast spectrum of international stability right now, and it highlights the specific challenges some growing nations face in trying to maintain domestic and international peace metrics, all while undergoing rapid expansion.
But let's pivot and look at infrastructure and talent, because this tells a totally different story. In the World Economic Forum's 2026 Energy Transition Index, Sweden leads the pack at rank #1, with India sitting at 78th. However, if we look at the QS World Future Skill Index for 2027, the USA tops the list, but India holds a remarkably strong 13th place globally. That future skill ranking is a massive indicator of long-term economic and technological potential. It's going to be absolutely vital for attracting foreign tech investments moving forward.
And tying right into that industrial capacity, we're seeing a massive, tangible achievement. India has officially secured the title of the world's leading ship recycling nation for 2025 and 2026. This isn't just some niche environmental metric. It is a huge industrial and economic driver for global maritime logistics and raw material supply chains.
Well, we have covered a lot of ground today. From the expansion of the BRICS Bank and massive UN leadership shifts to indigenous missile systems and global indexes. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to ponder. With such dramatic shifts in global alliances, ongoing leadership volatility in Europe, and rapid indigenous military development in Asia, how will the calculated geopolitical maneuvers of 2026 completely rewrite the global world order and all these rankings by the end of the decade? Thank you so much for joining me to make sense of this vital information. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.